it brings God into everything I'm doing. The Bible talks about in Psalm 22 that God is enthroned on the praises of Israel, and I take that for me personally. So it brings God into what I'm doing, whether that's at work, at home, in church. Like, it's just bringing God into it, and it's not necessarily like standing in the middle of Tesco and singing a song, but it's like saying, God, I thank you that you're here, or God, I thank you that you're in the trees that I see, or God, I thank you that you've given me my family, or I thank you that when I do lead worship at church, that you're going to come. And it's just, bringing God into everything that I'm doing, and acknowledging that he's with me in that. So I get that quite a lot, actually, and it's just reminding myself what God's done. Like the fact that he sent his only son and gave everything, like even died for me, like that's crazy. And then it's like, because of that, like, I'm forgiven. It means I can worship. I have the ability to do that. I can connect with God personally. But also reminding myself that worship is actually a sacrifice, and it says in the Bible that giving a sacrifice of praise. And a great example is the story we're looking at today, which is 2 Samuel 6, and talking about how David literally danced like a lunatic. According to the people around him, that's what he looked like. But actually, his heart was to say, God, I'm so thankful for your presence. I'm so glad that you're here, that I'm going to give everything I've got to worship you, even to the point where people that loved him were like, you're crazy, what are you doing? Like, you're making a fool of yourself. But he was like, I'm not doing it for you, I'm doing it for God. And it's keeping that fresh in my mind as well, that I'm not worshipping for me, I'm worshipping for God, and to glorify him in everything I do. For me, it's the main way, probably, just because of the fact that I am a worship leader. But no, like, there's so many ways you can worship God. Like, one of my favourite ways is reading the Psalms. So in the Bible, looking at the different people that wrote them. So like David is one of the main writers of Psalms, and how looking at the different points of when he wrote them, and how he brought God into that, whether that was before or after. Just saying, God, I thank you, you're here, and just worshipping through that. But then also, like, I've got quite a long commute to work, so that time in the car for me is one of the most precious times, because there's no one else around, no one can interrupt me, and so it's either putting like an instrumental worship track on, which I know it's still music, but there's no agenda to that, so I can put my heart into song or into spoken word over that. And that is another form of worship. And then when I'm at work, it's like, okay, God, I choose to give you my best, because it says in the word that we are to do everything as unto God. And for me, work is one of the easiest places to do that, because you can just go and give your best. And even if you're tired or you're not feeling it, like, if you just remind yourself that this is for God, not for me or for the people around me, then it makes it so much easier. And it's also a way to witness to others. Like, worship isn't just for the church, it's for people that don't know God as well. And so at work, I can be a witness by my worship, which is giving God my best and bringing God into that. So even if it's like stacking a group of accessories for phones, it's making sure they look great, that the stand is clean, that everything's how it should be. And like, I get compliments and stuff all the time, and say, well, how come you are like that? And it's like, well, I do it because I love God, and that's one way I can show that. And so it's using worship as a witness as well. So it's not just music, it's just through my lifestyle and how I live. And there's days when I'm not feeling it, and I'm not like perfect all the time, but it's even in that time, it's saying, God, I'm sorry, but I thank you that you're good, and you know that what I'm like, but you still choose to come and be with me when I worship. So it's definitely not just music. And if you feel like, I can't worship because I'm not a musician, like, it's not true. Like, there's so many ways you can worship. Like, just, you can ask one of the leaders in the room and say, how do you worship God? Because a lot of the guys that our leaders aren't worshippers. They're just normal people that, and I'm not saying the worshippers aren't normal people, but they just do United and then they go to work or whatever. Like some guys work in kitchens, some work in coffee shops, some work in retail, and it's like, how do you worship God even though you're not a musician? So, yeah.